Okay, hopefully now everybody can hear me. I see the error of my ways. I wasn't able to have the sound come on because of the fact that we weren't, I don't think we were connected or whatever it was. So again, welcome to the new health conversation. If you're tired of the diet merry-go-round, then you're on the right podcast. And what makes us so different and unique, and the thing people like about us, is we don't give you any opinions. We just give you medical facts and medical proof. So I hope that this will, hello, Cyril, I guess it is. Yes, Cyril, imagine this new breakthrough, the seven new, Eric and Kathy. How would you like to lose as much weight in a week as on 8 weeks of any diet? How would you like to lose as much weight in a week as on 8 weeks of any diet without exercise? And also marketing life with Tina. Hi, Tina. And I am a Nurse Penny. Oh, that's a nice name. So, Nurse Penny, you'll be interested in this. We have seven new peer-reviewed human trial studies where people are losing as much weight in a week as in 8 weeks of any diet you've ever been on. They're losing as much weight in a month as in a year in any diet. So, hi, M. Laughlin. We're talking today about this new medical breakthrough. Can anybody hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Can anybody hear me? Hello, Marlene or Lori. Can anybody put in the chat? Are you able to hear me? Hello, Tasneem. Are you able to hear me? Is anybody able to hear me? Can you hear me? Is there sound? I don't know. I had Denise Davis, Shamrock. Is there anybody that can put in the chat? Can you hear me or not hear me? Because I'm not sure. People come on and said they couldn't hear me, and when I checked it, everything was working fine. So I need to know if any of you can hear me. You can read the headline there. You can actually lose as much weight in a week as 8 weeks of any diet you've ever been on in your lifetime. You can lose as much weight in a month as in a year on any diet without losing lean muscle mass. Can anybody hear me? Is there sound? Is there a sound? Can you hear me? Would someone please put in the chat if you can hear me or not? Gerald Delaver, can you hear me? I'm just curious. We were having microphone problems before, and hopefully we had them solved. Oh, sound is good. Okay. So anyway, for those of you now joining us, so my name is Peter Greenlaw. I've been a nutritional researcher for 21 years. What you're seeing up there is real. We have seven peer-reviewed human trial studies where men and women are losing as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet you've ever been on. They lost as much weight in a month as a year in any diet, lost no water, and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Do any of you think, I'd love to see you put it in the chat, do any of you think that diets work? Because we have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. Does anyone think that diets are working? Because obviously, I don't think with those numbers you could support that. I know it sounds crazy and I know you're skeptical, right? Nope. You're saying nope, you can't sing any diet out there that works because they don't work, okay? What makes us different, and the reason you may want to listen to this podcast, we only give you medical proof and medical evidence. We don't give you opinions. I'm going to show you seven peer-reviewed human trial medical studies that have just come out. And again, most women lose a whole dress size in 7 days. Most guys lose up to 4 inches in their waist in a week. No one was allowed to exercise. These are going to change the world. Everything you ever thought about diet, exercise, nutrition is going to go out the door after this podcast today. Let's start first with Harvard. I want to give you some background first. This is my first best-selling book, Why Diets Are Failing Us. It came out in 2010. We've done 3 updates to it. Now, we've provided for you a free website. You can see it there, the New Health Conversation, where at any moment you can go there. It's 100% free. And the only thing on that website is the medical proof about what I'm sharing with all of you today. No, seriously, I know you're skeptical, but how excited would any of you be if you stepped on the scale after 7 days and you'd lost as much weight as 8 weeks of any diet you've ever been on? Or how about after a month, losing as much weight in a month as in a year on diets, losing no water and gaining 6 to 9% lean muscle with no exercise? I know it sounds like science fiction, but we have the medical proof. I have them here. They're actually on our website. You can physically see them, etc. So would anyone like to comment on that. I know it sounds crazy to think that you could lose that much weight that fast, but do you all understand that the whole concept of dieting by lowering calories is completely out the window now? And let me read from the experts. Let's start with Harvard Medical School. Stop counting calories. This is Harvard Medical School saying most people have been taught that losing weight is a matter of simple math. Cut calories, specifically 3,500, and you lose a pound. But as it turns out, experts are learning that this decades-old strategy is actually really misguided. Listen to this. The idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. She goes on to say, drop the calories notion, says Stanford. It's time to take a different approach by putting the emphasis on what's in our food, not how much food we're consuming. This is what they basically did, these new researchers who for 38 years, these are the top weight loss, nutrition, physiologists in the world. They're the ones that came up with this. Here's the cool news. They don't sell anything. They don't have a company. They're scientists. And what they did, they figured out food combinations and then a very specific way to consume food like no one had ever done before. Not a diet. You're not counting calories. Has nothing to do with that. And if you go to the website, one of the things that I'll show you or you get to see is there are before and afters that if I put them up here, I would be banned. There are people, men and women, lost like 100 pounds. They have no loose skin. There's athletes on there that you see the transformation in just 11 days. That's shocking. Now, the thing is, before you get all nervous and think, oh my God, it's unhealthy to lose that much weight that fast, on a diet it would be, because I will promise you that all the medical evidence is overwhelming that what you're losing on any diet, and you do lose weight in all diets, is your lean muscle mass. Here's how it works. That's why diets and counting calories is nonsense. First of all, the human body doesn't even know what a calorie is. It doesn't count calories. So here's how the body works. We have a minimum amount of nutrition that we need, not calories. Forget the darn calories. And what happens when you go on a diet, hopefully you agree with this, at the end of the day, you're lowering the amount of food you're doing. This new thing, you don't eat for 16 hours, you eat for 8, intermittent fasting. I'm going to show you in a moment the medical proof saying that's one of the worst things you could ever do to try to lose weight and keep it off long term. I promise we'll come back to that in just a moment. But I want you to get the concept of what the researchers did and why this will obsolete every diet. This podcast, it'll obsolete every diet out there in the world. I don't care. I know I'm against the mainstream, because I get the pushback, oh, well, the only way to lose weight is to lower calories. Really? Well, let's read from another big study why you shouldn't count calories. None of it's our opinion. We don't make claims. We read from the medical proof. Listen to this. Truth is, calorie counting is a terrible approach for weight loss. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to count or restrict their calories gain back more weight than they lost. We have a study here, Johns Hopkins Medical School. Listen to this. Study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030, where they said by 2030, 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese. What diet are you going on that you think works long term? I'm not trying to be controversial. I'm just reading from the medical proof. Now, here's another thing that's amazing about muscle loss. What it was once thought is that the more fat you had, the less muscle you lost in a calorie deficit. This has since been disproved, and both lean and obese people lose significant rates of muscle when dieting. Even people that are lean. You have to understand, this is really what's going on. That's why it's not your fault. None of it's your fault. You have the wrong approach, totally the wrong approach. And all these, influencers out there that are giving you all this advice, can anybody tell me any diet they're telling you that they don't tell you it's some form of reducing the amount of calories? The first problem with that is the human body doesn't know what a calorie is. We proved it in my first book, Why Diets Are Failing Us. We said, why are we counting calories instead of making every calorie count? Well, we've been able to update that with Harvard, et cetera, saying, no, it's about the nutrition in the food. We were on the right track. We just maybe didn't explain it quite as eloquently as they're doing now. But listen to that. Do you understand on every diet, you're losing up to 40% of your lean muscle, and it does two of the most unhealthy things on earth, not just slowing down your metabolism. And that's why you plateau, and that's why you gain all the weight back. And you blame yourself, or it was the wrong diet. I did paleo, I did keto, I did time-restricted eating, I did Cornish, I did zone diet, I did Atkins, I did Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers. People come on, they're overwhelmed with the amount of diets they've tried. That's why we said, are you ready to get off the diet merry-go-round? Do you want to get off now? Do you think that any of these diets work long-term? Because they don't. So my point is that these researchers After 38 years, they found the silver bullet. So let's go over what did they do for the people that are on here now. So here's what they did. Now, again, for the new people coming on, what we're talking about is men and women who are not allowed to exercise lost as much weight in 7 days as 2 months on any diet. They lost as much weight in 30 days as a year on any diet, lost no water weight, and gained, didn't lose any lean muscle, gained 6 to 9% lean muscle. So here's what the researchers did. As I said before, the way the body works, we have a minimum amount of nutrition that we need so the brain is comfortable and doesn't put us in starvation mode. When you go on a diet and you lower the amount of food, no one's telling you this that I've seen, you don't understand you're lowering nutrition. When your brain figures out there's not enough nutrition, it freaks out, goes in starvation mode, prevents you from burning fat, and immediately turns to your muscles for fuel. It's called catabolic metabolism. But the second thing it's doing to you that's completely unhealthy, it also reduces the effectiveness of your own immune system. So that diet that you're on, that you fit in your skinny jeans, it's not doing something for you, it's doing something to you. The researchers are saying the most unhealthy thing you could ever do is go on a diet by lowering calories. And if you lose lean muscle mass is one of the most important physiological things in our body for maximum health. I mean, isn't that crazy? Did any of you know that before this? So what did the researchers do? What was the theory? Remember, it was the theory. They don't sell you anything. They don't have any food. So the first thing they did, they developed a grocery list based on their 38 years of research, organic, but only out of your 100% of your budget or amount of food you consume in a month, only 40% will come from the grocery store. You'll get a list of proteins, fats, carbs, fruits, etc. Okay? The other 60%, which the researchers don't sell, we don't sell it to you, but they found 5 foods from suppliers who had gone around the world to Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand, to get 5 food groups that had tremendous amounts of nutrition, not tremendous amounts of quantity. So here was the base. Here was the ingredients before they did the, let's call it the recipe. 40% of the food from the grocery store, 60% from these 5 foods from around the world, that the researchers said these 5 foods made up what they call the world's most perfect meals. Let me repeat that. The world's most perfect meals based on not quantity, but the dense nutrition. The nutrients we have in our food in this country, even in organic, are crashing. They're going down, down, down. As a matter of fact, a big study done on organic, and I do organic, but not for the reason you might think. Organic is slightly better than regular food from a nutritional standpoint of view, but it's less polluted, and that's the reason to eat it, okay? Now, the researchers then set out to do 2 completely different ways of consuming food. The first one's called protein pacing, which we would teach you and show you how to do if you decide you're interested in this, right? 5 days a week, you do protein pacing. Breakfast is from these 5 foods from around the world. Lunch from the grocery store, dinner from the grocery store, and watch this. Everybody got a 4th meal, unheard of on diets. 4 meals a day, starting with the world's most perfect food, a lunch from the grocery store, a dinner from the grocery store, ingredients, and the last meal from the 5 foods from around the world. They do that 5 days a week. 2 days a week, they did what's called intermittent nutritional fasting. On those days, no food from the grocery store, only these 5 foods. Notice, not fasting, not intermittent fasting, nutritionally supported fasting. And what were the results? Men and women lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet these researchers had studied in 38 years. These are the top weight loss researchers in the world. They're the ones that did the study. They're the ones that came up with this theory, which is mind-boggling. They even said this research, this medical proof, they'll never recommend any form of traditional diet ever again. Again, I want to ask all of you, why would you take 8 weeks to lose weight in the most unhealthy way when you could lose that same amount of weight in 7 days and increase your lean muscle, not lose it, or in a month lose as much as in a year, lose no water? But here's what's going to shock you. The last reason to do this is to lose weight. They also find in a month that blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides all came down dramatically in 30 days. But here was the other one that baffled them. They measured inflammation, which plagues all of us. It's the underlying cause of every disease out there, according to the medical community. It went down 25% in 30 days. Hunger went down 41% in a month. You ever go on a diet, 30 days, you're ready to eat your couch. These people, they lost all their cravings because, again, the body doesn't give a damn about a calorie. It cares about nutrition. For the first time ever, these people were experiencing massive amounts of nutrition, not massive quantities of food. Does this make sense to everyone? Does everybody get this? You understand you could completely change your lives really in 4 days, because they found people in the first 4 days, when they got on the scale on the fifth morning, they thought their scales were broken because they'd lost as much weight in 4 days as in 3 or 4 weeks of diet. It's not a diet. It doesn't work like that. I mean, how many of you out there have struggled trying to, again, are you tired of the diet merry-go-round? Do you want to get off now or not? You don't have to listen to me. You can, there's plenty. My gosh, how many influencers do we have out there telling you? There's medical doctors and chiropractors and dietitians and nutritionists and workout people and weight loss coaches and fitness coaches. How's that working, everyone, with 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic? And yet, here's the thing. You can go to that website. You see it at the bottom, the New Health Conversation. It's completely free to go there. And if you go there, we won't contact you. We won't. There's nothing to buy. My books aren't there. That isn't the point. The point is to give you a safe place to go see real, not fake information, real information. And then, and only then, after you go there, you get to decide if you really are interested in the protocol. You can sign up. It says schedule a free consultation with one of our coaches. Our coaches, they've done it themselves and been trained. We got medical doctors and PAs and nurses and a whole wide variety of people that are there to teach you how to do this, because 50% is the food you're going to consume, but the other 50% is how you consume it. They even developed, the researchers, what they did, they taught people, this is called, you can see it there, the Blueprint for Success. And the yellow tabs, I know you can't read them, you can see them. Those are all daily videos from the world's class researchers telling you this is why it's not a diet, this is why it's safe, this is all free. The coaching's 100% free. Now, again, 40% of the food you would buy comes from the grocery store, you get a grocery list. The other 5 foods come from these fulfillment companies. Do you know what they do? They offer you 100% money back guarantee in the first 30 days. You don't have to have a reason. You didn't like it, it didn't work, whatever. And they'll even pay return shipping. Show me anything else on social media like this. You're getting free website that you get to go on your own to see the medical proof. No tricks. So we're not saying, oh, sign up for a free consultation, then we'll show you what they did. Nonsense. We don't do that. There's even a 20-minute video really going more detail into terms of the protein pacing and intermittent fasting days. And we show you grocery items and a whole bunch more things that I really can't do just, I can't do it justice right here. I know you're all skeptical. I know it. I absolutely know it. I do 4 or 5 or 6, as many as I can do of these podcasts as long as my voice holds out. And I see the comments coming back, or I see the shyness in people. They think, oh, if they're going to comment somehow, I'm not here to disparage anybody. I'm here to support you. And I can address this. My own mother was morbidly obese my whole life. I never knew her thin. I never knew her healthy. And I loved her. She was awesome. And 23 years ago, she called me up before I became a researcher. And why I became a researcher, she said, Peter, I have one wish in my life. Maybe some of you can relate. I said, what's that, Mom? She said, I would give anything if I could spend one day thin. I said, wow, Mom, that's cool. Well, 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. My mom did about every diet that there was 23 years ago. She did the grapefruit diet and the cabbage soup diet and the South Beach diet, followed Oprah Winfrey. She did, Weight Watchers for years. Nothing against Weight Watchers. I believe my mom dieted herself to death. And there are many people now that actually have said publicly, America is dying. With 80% overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic, 33% of our kids are pre-diabetic. Do you know right now, 74% of people applying to the military, our young people, are rejected because of they're overweight and obese? This is now becoming a national security issue. How much longer do we continue to believe these influences that are only giving you what? Their opinions. With all due respect, they have not one shred of medical evidence. So let's take a look at some of the medical evidence, okay? Again, does anyone, someone said it before, does anyone believe that diets work? Is it not just an exercise to I want to go to a wedding, so I got to fit in my dress, or I'm going to a graduation, or whatever it is? They're always a destination. Now what do you do? Because you can't keep it up, and all these trends, let's take a look, and I'm not trying to disparage anything. I'm just going to give you the medical proof. But let's talk about this big phrase about this time-restricted eating where you don't eat for 16 hours and you eat for 8. Let's go to the Journal of the American Medical Association. None of it's my opinion. Be clear, okay? In this new study on intermittent fasting where you don't eat for 16 hours, eat for 8, but the new research found that overweight adults who were assigned to routinely fast 16 hours daily, eating between noon and 8, known as the 16-8 diet, gained almost no benefit from it. And over the course of 3 months, they lost 2 to 3.5 pounds. And most of what they lost was not body fat, but lean muscle mass. I see them on there telling you, well, the majority of what you lose on this is fat. Really? They don't have any, see, they're making it up. They're making it up. That's what's going on. And so we fall into this trap. And it's not just that, okay? It's right here. Here's this is New England Journal of Medicine, 12-month study on intermittent. So you said, oh, that was only 3 months. Okay, let's go to 12 months. New England Journal of Medicine did 2 groups of people. One people, they lowered calories for a year. The other people did time-restricted eating for a year. What were the results? Those people who lowered calories in a year lost 16 pounds. Those doing intermittent fasting, they only lost 12.6 pounds in 12 months. And they said both those lowering calories and those doing time-restricted eating lost up to 40% of their lean muscle mass. That's why when I'm telling you, if you lost as much weight on a diet in a week as in 8 weeks, it'd be one of the most unhealthy experiences you could ever do because you'd be burning your muscle mass at tremendous rates. I understand that this is like crazy to think, but I always tell people, just because it wasn't invented, do you think it wasn't possible? Would we have GPS? Would we have iPhones? Would we have the internet? Would we have Google? Would we have any of these things we have today? We just take them for granted. 38 years, 100 studies. You know what they did? The researchers who invented this, they figured out what didn't work. Honestly, I'd love to see it in the chat. If any of you struggled with diets, are you tired of the diet merry-go-round? Are you looking, oh, Christmas is coming, there's going to be new titles on Barnes & Noble, which I love Barnes & Noble. Go and look at how many diets there are. Now, let's go to prove my point, let's go to the Journal of the American Medical Association, 12-month study, a year, on 48 different studies, 7,286 people, where they listed all the diets in the 48 studies. So paleo, keto, Mediterranean, time-restricted eating, Cornish zone, eat for your blood type, all these diets. And when they analyzed the most amount of weight loss in 1 year to the least amount of weight loss in a year, it was only 10 ounces. 10 ounces. And right in the study, the average weight loss was 16 pounds in a year, and up to 40% of what people lost was lean muscle mass. Oh, good. Sound is good. All right, great. No, JJJ. Okay, let me blow Ozempic to smithereens. And I'm not opposed to Ozempic, okay? What you're putting there, what kind of lifestyle? What do you mean? What kind of, the people that lost all this weight, they thrived. They loved it. As a matter of fact, they've kept the weight off for 6 years. So, JJ, let me give you the medical reality of what you're being told about Ozempic, okay? And I'm not against Ozempic or semaglutide. This is a 68-week study, JJ. A year and 4 months, okay? Right in the study, New England Journal, go look it up. You don't have to believe me. Go look it up. After 68 weeks, JJ, they lost 32 pounds. And right in the study, it says, of the 32 pounds they lost, 40% was lean muscle mass. I'm working with the people that are doing Ozempic and semaglutide right now. They're terrified to lose their lean muscle mass. And every person coming off that shot, they're gaining 1 to 2 pounds a week. It's a diet. All it is, you have to understand the concept, JJ. It has nothing to do with lowering calories or the amount of food. It has to do with what's in the food. Let's go back. Why you shouldn't count calories. Truth is, calorie counting is a terrible approach for weight loss. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to counter restrict their calories gain back more weight than they lost. That's exactly what's happening to the people that's stopping Ozempic and semaglutide. I'm not even opposed to it. It's helping diabetics. It's helping people that are obese. But with all drugs, there's side effects. One of the side effects is that people are losing, across the board, they lost 40% of the lean muscle mass. Let's do the math. Out of 32 pounds in 68 weeks, 40%, that's almost 14 pounds of lean muscle mass. Do you know to gain back 1 pound of lean muscle, even if you go to the gym and eat healthy, it takes you a year? Do you see what's happening? Listen, my God, we have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. Because Ozempic is just a diet. It slows down the amount of food. I'm not against it. But these people, they lost 16 pounds in a month. Hey, I'll tell you this, they lost more than 32 pounds in 2 months. And it's all natural. There's no side effects. The side effects are lowered blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides in 30 days. They lowered hunger by 41% in a month. In 8 weeks, they shrank visceral fat by 33% and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. There's no comparison. And if people want to use the shots, then it can go for it. But again, it's kind of like there's only, we're all on the Titanic. Those are the lifeboats. There's only so many seats. Do you know how many people stayed on deck believing the Titanic wasn't going to sink? That's where we are as a country. What are we buying into? But then even Harvard Medical School, right here. This is Harvard Medical School saying stop counting calories. Most people have been taught that losing weight is a matter of simple math. Cut calories, specifically 3,500, and you lose a pound. But as it turns out, experts are learning that this decades-old strategy is actually totally misguided. They go on to say, the idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist at Harvard Medical School. She goes on to say, drop the calories notion. It's time to take a different approach, putting the emphasis on what's in the food, not how much food they're consuming. That's exactly what these researchers did in the 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies that will make every diet approach out there totally obsolete. And obviously you all have free will. You can do the shots. Do whatever you want to do. There's only so many people that can do this, because some of the foods that they got from around the world that they used, by the way, the researchers, they don't sell anything. They don't have a product. They're scientists. 38 years, 100 studies, thousands of people. There was no doubt every diet they went on, it didn't matter what it was, people lost weight. But every time when they did blood, stool, urine, fat, and muscle analysis, people were losing up, just like on a semaglutide, 40% of what they lost was lean muscle mass. That's so unhealthy. That's what you have to understand. So again, I want to support. No, JJ, no one was allowed to exercise. That's the most important thing. As a matter of fact, they had to wear Fitbits. Now, why did they eliminate exercise? Not that the research is against exercise, because they didn't want that to be a factor. Otherwise, people say, well, they diet and exercise. That's why they lost weight. That's why these studies, I'm telling you, JJ, that any traditional diet, if you had the awareness to see this compared to anything else, all I can tell you is the people that go to the website and sign up for free consultation, almost 100% of them, they're just saying it's too good to be true. That's the skeptic. But let me tell you something better, JJ, okay? You don't get this with semaglutide or with Ozempic. The 5 foods from these independent research, they're fulfillment companies, suppliers, let's call them, they offer you 100% money back guarantee in the first 30 days. Do you get that with Ozempic, semaglutide, or try? You see what I'm saying? And I'm not against the shots. But it's kind of comparing the thing that, like, you could go today and buy a gallon of gas, pay $4 and go 20 miles. But what about the pump next to it where they're selling it for $5 a gallon? You can go 100 miles. That's the difference. I know it sounds, JJ, I'm totally supporting you in your skepticism. You're skeptical. That's perfectly understandable. But my God, at least give yourself the opportunity to go see the medical proof and the interview with the #1 weight loss researcher in the world for 38 years who did the studies. They don't sell anything. They don't have any products for sale. They put this protocol together. You're not buying anything from them. You're not buying anything from us. You're buying directly from these suppliers who supplied the 5 foods. They give you 100% money back guarantee in the first 30 days. What's the risk? The risk is, not you in particular, but in general, people's skepticism prevent them from doing this. Why would you want to go on a diet taking 8 weeks to lose weight in the most unhealthy way when you could do it in a week? Or take more than a year? Unless the average was 16 pounds in a month in the studies. And these people, these studies, to let you know, just like semaglutide was a peer-reviewed human trial study done by New England Journal of Medicine, these people, they started 5 or 6 years ago in these studies. They've maintained their weight loss for 6 years. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks. 21 years ago. I've kept it off for 21 years. You show me any diet on the planet like that. But the main reason to do it is not to lose weight. I'm going to introduce all of you to the main reason. It's because of this new medical syndrome, which is called TDOS. What does it stand for? T for toxicity, D for deficiency, O for being overweight, S is for stress. It's a registered trademark U.S. Patent Office's new medical syndrome. I have it, you have it, every person in the world. Basically, what we now know is as we're drinking and breathing chemicals, the body's taking the chemical and stuffing it inside our fat cells. No diet has ever shown it can remove even a gram of toxins. These researchers who did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis proved that this was removing herbicides and pesticides and Scotch-Guard, Teflon, and even plastics from our body. Did you all see the thing on Starbucks coffee? 1 cup of coffee, you get 50 to 80,000 microplastics in every cup of coffee? And I like Starbucks coffee. They did a study in New Zealand about a year and a half ago saying that we're all eating the equivalent of a credit card per week in plastic. So imagine this year you have 52 credit cards. See, this is what's going on. And we're doing, I don't want to hear it. Really? Science doesn't care about me. Science just is. It doesn't have an agenda. It has no prejudice. It just is. That's what's so significant. This is the only ever peer-reviewed human trial studies of this. Basically, they cracked the code for obesity. But the main reason to do this is not to lose weight. Let me read to you what the experts are saying about storing these chemicals in your body. I hope it shocks you. We're here not to scare you to death, but to scare you to life. Listen to this. The Endocrine Society, the largest organization of experts devoted to research on hormones, and the clinical practice of endocrinology reports that the rise in the incidence of obesity matches the rise in the use and distribution of industrialized chemicals. They have a name. They call them obesogens. Listen to this. Obesogens. Simply put, obesogens are chemicals that disrupt the function of our hormonal system, leading to weight gain and many of the diseases that curse the American populace. They enter our body from a variety of sources, from compounds found in soy, hormones fed to animals, plastics in food packaging, chemicals added to processed food, and pesticides on produce. They act in a variety of ways, mimicking human hormones such as estrogen, blocking the action of other hormones such as testosterone, and essentially reprogram us to gain weight. So JJ, what doesn't seem to be healthy? JJ, that's why they have peer-reviewed human trial studies, because it's totally safe. JJ, also, how about blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides came down dramatically in 30 days? How about inflammation coming down? No, JJ, it's the most, as a matter of fact, all the research now says the faster you can lose weight, the healthier you'll be, as long as that food has nutrition in it. So again, JJ, to support you, that's what you think. But an opinion doesn't match medical proof. That's what's so significant about this. The weight loss was safe, and they've been able to maintain it now for years. It's not a weight loss program. And that's what everybody would think, because what's our frame of reference? Don't lose more than 1 pound or 2 in a week on a diet. I totally agree. This is not a diet. But DJ, what are you doing about removing chemicals from your body? Which diet do you think you're on that does that? Because none of them do. They've never, ever been tested for doing that until now. This is the main reason to do this, is to detoxify your body. Period. That's it. I mean, again, I wish all of you well. You can do whatever you want to do. Our job is to make you aware of this break. This is listen, these researchers, they're getting called from all over the world, from top obesity experts at Harvard, Stanford, Berkeley, Princeton, Oxford in England, saying, you guys have cracked the code. You now have made any traditional diet approach obsolete. Obsolete. Does this make sense to all of you? Can you understand this? And yet you have the opportunity to go for free and see the medical proof. Let me put up there one more time. And also, just so you all understand, the website, there's nothing to buy there. My books aren't for sale. The only thing there, number one, is an interview with the #1 weight loss researcher in the world for 38 years, who's also a physiologist. And the research studies are actually there. You have to understand, a peer-reviewed human trial study, they're irrefutable. So the researchers, if there was anything that was unhealthy or unsafe about this, they report that. That's why you won't see Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, Paleo, Keto doing peer-reviewed human trial studies on their own. It's never been initiated by any of those. The studies that are being done now are done by the Journal of the American Medical Association, et cetera, by Nutrients, et cetera. Look, these studies were done in the Obesity Journal, in Frontiers in Nutrition, in the Nutrition Journal, Frontiers in Physiology, Nutrients, International Journal of Environmental Research. Nature Communications, JJ, is the #1 medical journal in the world, And the study that they did in Nature had nothing to do with weight loss. It had everything to do with our gut, called our microbiome, which is essentially our immune system in our stomach. And I can speak to this. I wrote the definitive book. I did, along with, I know you can't quite see him in the white coat. He's considered one of the top oncologists in the world, a molecular biologist, who, to give you an idea, most scientists or researchers want to get published in these big medical journals, and they do, 25, 30 papers maybe in a lifetime. He's had 237 papers published in the biggest medical journals in the world, and 2 of his papers are in the top 10% of all medical papers ever published in all time, and he worked with 2 men who won the Nobel Prize in medicine. What influences have that kind of a pedigree? And again, I'm not the expert. Don't get crazy on me. I'm called the researcher of the researchers. But look at the people I've gotten to work with. Listen, I did 20 shows on PBS. I was interviewed 4 times on the biggest daytime shows in America. Did over 1,500 live lectures all over the world, including in medical schools, in hospitals. And they even flew me to China. This is a global problem now. We have 1 billion people worldwide clinically obese, not just overweight. And do you know what they said in the study when they said that? It was done in the Lancet, just came out in March of this year, 2020, about 7 months ago. They said, 1 billion people worldwide are clinically obese, making obesity the leading form of malnutrition. What? They went on to say, yes, most people don't understand that being underweight or being obese are both forms of malnutrition because they're not getting the right amounts of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients necessary to support us. So that's the problem, JJ. Our food in North America is becoming increasingly nutritionally insufficient. The researchers knew that. And also, to be clear to all of you, they didn't know this was going to work. It was a theory. Could we reduce the amount of food people consumed, but not reduce the amount of nutrition? Well, they sure knew they couldn't do it with regular food from North America. That's why they found these other people that had found these food sources in the last 25 years from all over the world, from Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, Bangladesh, and Tibet, and Himalaya, South America, New Zealand. I know for all of you it sounds too good to be true. I know you're skeptical, etc. But here's what I'm saying to you. At least go and look at the medical proof, and then decide. Because if you go to our website, we're not going to contact you. We don't do that. We don't need to do it. There's nothing to buy on that website. Only thing there is, as you can see, is the medical proof. So I would invite all of you, if you want, go to this. And only if you like what you see, you can scroll down, schedule a free personal consultation with a coach who's done the protocols. But we have medical doctors, we got PAs, we got nurses, we got a whole variety of people that are there. And the reason we do the personal with you is we have kids as young as 2. We have a man with a heart transplant. We got people with no thyroids and kidney transplant. I mean, just a whole. And we're not treating, curing, diagnosing, and making medical proclamations. All we're doing is sharing with you what they did in the medical studies. That's it. But where's your risk? You get free coaching and 60% of the food you have to eat anyway. So imagine you're taking a month's worth of food, 40% you're buying it from the grocery store, and the other 60%, you're able to create the world's most perfect meals from a nutritional standpoint of view. What am I missing here? What's wrong with that approach? I hope nothing, And again, let me say over and over and over again, I understand you're all skeptical. That only makes sense. But is your skepticism, it's based on what you know, and what you know is what? It's basically the opinions of other people that are giving you the opinions of other people. That's why you've got to understand what a huge deal it is to have 7 peer-reviewed human trial studies. This is going to change the world. The question is, do you want to be part of it? Or do you want to stay on the merry-go-round and believe what we've been told? What we've been told leads us to a catastrophe in the making, right? According to, here it is. Johns Hopkins Medical School study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. In 5.5 years, they estimate 86% of America will be overweight or obese. Honestly, do any of you think these diets work? I mean, GLP, it's helping some people, But those weight loss results compared to what they did in these new studies, they give you 100% money back guarantee. I know they mean well, and they're probably going to help a lot of people because it's certainly better to lose 32 pounds in 68 weeks than not lose any weight at all. But the problem is keeping it off. Unless they stay on the shots, they're all gaining all the weight back. Talk to anybody off. I see the cool thing, I don't have to make up anything. We only base things on medical proof and medical results and medical period. Because what else should we rely on? Especially when it comes to our health and our body and our future. I mean, with all due respect, I see the medical doctors and the chiropractors and the dietitians and the nutritionists and the fitness people and the weight loss coaches and the health coaches. What are they all telling you? The only way to lose weight is to lower calories. No, no, no. I mean, I said, you know, I've got several examples over here why you shouldn't. Here's another one. The title of this one was Don't Bother Counting Calories. It's complete nonsense. Not my opinion, okay? Let me read. Notice they start inevitably. More than 95% of people will go back to their baseline and many will go above it. They rebound back if they're doing any form of calorie restriction or calorie counting diets. I read to you before why you shouldn't count calories. Truth is, calorie counting is a terrible approach for weight loss. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to counter restrict their calories gain back more weight than they lost. There's a reason that 80% of America is overweight. It's not that we don't have enough diets. It's not that you're not trying. It's not that you're not doing everything possible, like my mom that was morbidly obese who, you know, effectively dieted herself to death. All we can do is provide the medical proof, and then you get to decide what you want to do or not do, you know? It's like, unfortunately, there were a lot of people on the Titanic that stood on deck thinking it wasn't going to sink. If they're talking about within 5.5 years, 86% of America being overweight, what do you think the chances are of you being part of the 14% who aren't overweight or obese, or the 86% that are overweight or obese? But there's another thing that's even more frightening. Every one of us, here's the thing you need to understand, every one of us have TDOS syndrome, whether you like it or not. It's a reality. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about obesogens, which I believe before you came on this podcast you'd never even heard of today? And certainly none of these influencers are talking about it. And none of those, there's never been a diet study that lowered inflammation, for example, okay? And inflammation is the underlying cause of every disease out there. It went down 25% in a month. Do you think that's a good thing, or do you think that's a bad thing? Do you think the fact that people's blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, and triglycerides all came down dramatic? Triglycerides came down 25% in 30 days. You can see the before and afters on, they list the A1C and the cholesterol, all the numbers. We didn't Photoshop, we didn't make up anything. It's what because it's what they did. All we're doing is reporting to you what's in these medical studies. That's it. And if you want to know what they did, okay, then sign up for free personal consultation. Although even on the website, there's a 30-minute video walking you through, okay, what's a protein pacing day? What were the foods they ate? What made this so different? What made it so unique? We're totally transparent. We don't have to hide anything from you. We're not asking you to buy anything to see the medical proof. And then even when you decide to do it, you have to eat anyway. So 40% you're going to buy food from the grocery store that you're buying anyway, that you have to eat. And the other 60% is coming from these, but you're buying it directly from them, not from us. And they give you 100% money back guarantee in the first 30 days. I don't think your grocery store is going to give you 100% money back guarantee on the 40% of the food you're buying. You know what my problem is? The more science I share to everybody, the more skeptical they become. Like oh my God, it's got to be unhealthy to do that. No, the opposite is true. What's unhealthy is going on any kind of diet. I read that other report. I know I have it here. I'll find it in just one second. About the misnomer about lean muscle mass, et cetera, right? So I'll find it here, I promise. I just have, oh yeah, here it is. While it was once thought that the more fat you had, the less muscle you lost in a calorie deficit, that has been totally disproved, with both lean and obese people losing significant rates of muscle while dieting. There's a new term now. It's called normal weight obesity. What the heck is that? It means that when they do analysis on people of the amount of visceral, that's the fat around your organs. By the way, that's the fat we store the chemicals inside of, okay? When they look at that percentage, now they may look thin on the outside, but when they measure that amount of visceral fat and compared to the lean muscle mass, they're considered obese. That's what normal weight obesity means. So even the 14, you got to understand the 14% that aren't overweight or obese are still toxic. There's no escape. They still have TDOS. I mean, again, I'm not here to scare you to death. I'm here to scare you to life. I mean, this is, like I said, registered trademark U.S. Patent Office. To get a medical get a medical registered trademark, the patent office, they search the world looking for anything similar to what you're claiming. It's your intellectual property. They give you the R to protect once you get that, which I have, if someone tries to copy what I'm doing, legally, I can sue them. It's not my point, but it's a big deal to get a registered trademark of a new medical condition. You all have it. We all have it. My question is for all of you, what are you doing about it? Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, intermittent fasting, time restricted eating, cornerstone, lose weight for your blood type. No. Go to Barnes & Noble. I love that store. Look at how many diets there are. And then let's look at the evidence. Do you know in 2008, 16 years ago, the amount of overweight and obese was around 60%, 60. So we're talking in 2030, in 5 years, that's 22-year span, it's going to increase by 40%, 40%. I mean, do you think that what you're doing, or you have done, or you're thinking about doing, do you really believe it? Well, let me ask you a question. So even if you're successful now and you've lost weight, do you really think a year from now you're going to weigh less than you do now? Because according to the studies that I read to you before, where they said that while counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short run, it's never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's worse is 2/3 of people who try to counter restrict their calories gain back more weight than they lost. It's like, why did you even go on the diet in the first place? I know, because we get the feedback that I've tried everything. I have people with gastric bypass, the sleeve. I mean, my God, there are ones they insert a balloon in your stomach and they blow it up to, again, cut down on the amount of food you're consuming. They never tell you you're cutting down on nutrition, which triggers starvation mode, which causes you to look at the people who have lost those tremendous amounts of weight with all that hanging skin. Go to the website and look at our people, 100-pound weight loss, men and women, no loose skin. Which would you rather do? And I know I support all of you. Like I said, my mom was morbidly obese my whole life. And it crushed me when 23 years ago she called me up and said, Peter, I have one wish in my life. I said, Mom, what's that? She said, I'd give anything if I could spend a day, just one day thin. I said, wow, Mom, that's cool. Well, 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. I saw fat shaming up close and personal, and it's ugly. We're here we understand that it's not your fault. You had nothing to do with this. Well, maybe a little bit. But the problem is the solutions that are available don't work, and then you feel like you're a failure. You know what I would have given to have known this 23 years ago from my mom? I can't prove it, of course, But if my mom could have lost as much weight in 4 days as in a month of any diet, who knows? Who knows what she might have done? Because I've seen it happen. We've got people right now, the most I had a gentleman in Denver, he started almost 600, was 587. In 20 months, he lost 387 pounds, has no loose skin anywhere in his body. That's kind of amazing. I'm not making it up. Most men and women lose as much weight in 4 days as in 4 weeks of any diet you've ever been on. They lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet, lost as much weight in a month as a year on diets, lost no water. And the part about the unhealthy part about dieting is if you lose lean muscle, it's one of the most unhealthy things you could ever do. That's why they tell you, don't lose more than 1 pound or 2 on a diet because it's unhealthy because of the weight loss. Well, these people, they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. So they became healthier. See, the weight is like a throw-in. That's the least important reason to do this. If you get it, if you understand that you have TDOS syndrome, whether you believe it or not, you do. The average adult has between 1,000 and 1,500 chemicals embedded in our visceral fat. That's why people complain to me, not just about how much weight they have, but the amount of fat on their body. We're evolving as a species. Like I read to you from the big studies. Let's go to one other expert on these toxins that we're storing in our body that have a name called obesogens. Listen to this. Frederick von Saul, professor of biological science, University of Missouri, Columbia, stated, obesogens are hijacking the regulatory system that control body weight. This presence of obesogens is the first reason that traditional dieting methods have become outdated. Never before have traditional low carbohydrate, low calorie diets been forced to accommodate for this level of synthetic chemicals and the adverse effects they have on your body. The body's attempt to protect itself from the constant assault of synthetic toxins results in the production and storage of fat. Not my opinion. See, we don't give you opinions. Why would you? I don't want you to believe Peter Greenlaw. Why would you? I'm the researcher of the research. It's not my research. And I never claimed I'm not the expert, but I became an expert on the expert. But the medical proof now is overwhelming. We're storing chemicals inside of our fat cells, period. It's not like let's have a debate about it. I mean, you saw the thing, I know I mentioned it before about Starbucks coffee about 8 weeks ago, saying in 1 cup of Starbucks coffee, you get between 50 and 80,000 microplastics. Why? Because paper's lined with plastic. If you put hot tea or coffee into a paper cup, the thing dissolves. These, paper straws, what are they lined with? Plastic. I mean, what I do? I look at this and I say, why is nobody else? I couldn't say nobody, but I haven't seen anybody on social media ever talking about anything except lowering calories to lose weight. Have any of you? We got info. JJ, are you implying that I'm doing an infomercial? I'm sorry. Okay. I'm just curious because JJ, you have to understand what I'm only quoting from the medical proof. Okay, so I hope you're not thinking that this is a infomercial because it's not. There's nothing to buy. It comes with a 100% money back guarantee. How would that even work if this didn't work? I'm just curious, please put it in the chat if you think for some reason that somehow this is an infomercial, which it's not. JJ, we've worked with, in 22 years, we've worked with 700,000 people collectively. They've lost around 14 million pounds, okay? We've seen people's whole lives turn around. Yeah, I guess there are infomercials. I see them all the time on TikTok. This is not an infomercial. Do you see anything on here to buy? Where is it? So, Christy France, I should say. Did you have a question? I'm happy to answer it for you. SG2, you're still here. That's amazing. Santrice Ross, Christy France, you must have just joined us. So I understand we have skepticism, okay? That's only normal. But can we just continue to ignore that we're looking at an apocalypse as far as obesity and overweight goes in 5.5 years? We're going to be at 86%. And I'd love for any of you to put your solution. I mean, one person put Ozempic, and I told you the results of Ozempic in 68 weeks. They lost 32 pounds, and 40% of it was lean muscle mass. Do you think that sounds good to you? If you're desperate and it's the only way you can do it, then do it. I'm not against the shots, but we're working with people that are doing the shots to not lose lean muscle mass. See, the major difference, again, I'm always defending myself. When you have peer-reviewed human trial studies, they're irrefutable. For those of you who don't know, when you have a peer-reviewed human trial medical study, when they submit their study to something like the obesity journal determines if they're going to publish it, they don't review it. They send it out to other world-class doctors and scientists who will have one job, and that's to discredit what you're trying to prove. That's why no drug ever gets approved without a peer-reviewed human trial. Not a scientific study, not a clinical study on mice and rats, on human beings. That's why and you won't find any diet company protocol doing peer-reviewed human trial studies on their own. They just don't do it. Because again, would you get excited about doing if you really knew that, for example, time-restricted eating in 12 months, they lost 12.6 pounds and 40% of what they lost was lean muscle mass? We're not denying the fact that maybe they lost most of that 12 pounds in the first month or 2 or 3 months, but they plateaued, obviously. I mean, I'd like the logic from anybody to try and put out the theory that if if we're looking at 86% of America overweight in 5.5 years, that any of these diet schemes work, how would it be? And how would it be that it just keeps going up? It keeps getting worse. We have more diets than ever before, right? So the main thing is, were they smoking? So many confounding factors. No, JJ, I'd already said that. They didn't allow them to work out, and no, people weren't smoking. I don't know. I'm not sure if I answered your question or not. I'm not even sure if you're still on, but I just want all of you to understand that I hope none of you feel like this is an infomercial. I mean, what's there to buy? We're giving you free access to the most advanced medical proof in the world about, unless you want to just stay on keep believing whatever they're telling you. Stay on the diet merry-go-round, and when you plateau and you come off and then you get back on again and off again and on again and off, it's yo-yo, but I like the idea of a merry-go-round because that's what it is. Round and round you go until she stops, nobody knows. It's kind of like, I understand I'm up against it every single day with people that, want to challenge me. And I don't think that they're mean. I think they're challenging based on what they think they know. But I've been a nutritional researcher for nearly 22 years. I've written 4 best-selling books with the top medical doctors in the world. I did 20 shows on PBS, interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America, done 1,500 live lectures all over the world, including in China. And I don't tell you that to impress you. Somebody has to stand up for all of us, stand up for you. No one stood up for my mom. Nobody. She believed all the hype. She did all the diets. And my mom was in her 60s when she died. I miss her like hell. I do. And I can't prove it, of course. But man, I would have liked to have the chance to have introduced her to something like this, okay? You have to understand the main reason to do this is to lose weight. That's like the bonus, okay? But that's not the reason. The main reason to do this is to combat the TDOS syndrome, which, by the way, is not an infomercial. You don't get a registered trademark with the US Patent Office. They don't fool around. It's not like you can just pay and they're going to give you a registered trademark. It doesn't work like that, right? And you can do whatever you want. You can Google obesogens, Obesogens, obesogens. But we've done the research for you, and everything we're sharing with you is original. We don't make up anything. We don't have to why would we make up something? What would be the advantage to us? Oh, we're trying to trick you and we don't sell you anything. Even if you do the protocol, you buy it directly from the suppliers who give you 100% money back guarantee. What? That's a stupid thing to do, isn't it, on our part? We'd love to be able to help you, but first you have to take the first step. The longest journey starts with the first step. Why wouldn't you go to the New Health Conversation and see the medical proof? I'm going to show it to all of you again. This is a website. There's nothing on there to buy. My books aren't for sale. There's no products on there. It's the medical proof. Then, if you decide you want to do it, you get a free consultation with one of our coaches. And like I said, you have to buy food anyway. 40% of what it's just, you're going to have a different shopping. You got a new store to buy from Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand. If you want to, you don't have to. I'd love for someone to put in the chat, please tell me what I'm selling. Opportunity, it's free. Okay. What else? Health, it's free. I mean, seriously, aren't some of you completely frustrated with diets? Aren't you tired of the merry-go-round? Do you want to get off now or not? I mean, I'd still like to see anybody after all these, please put a diet in the chat that you think works. Isn't it amazing after all these? I don't know how many podcasts I've done. I think probably close to 100, maybe more. No one's ever put anything in there that had any credible evidence that it works long term. Because the studies say that. Why you shouldn't count calories. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to counter restrict their calories gain back more weight than they lost. Does that sound like a diet you'd want to go on? This is not a diet. This is groundbreaking. This is completely different than anything that's out there in the marketplace, you know? So again, would any of you like to ask me a question or questions, plural? We're approaching an hour. Let's see, what time is it? Yeah. So I'm probably going to do, I'm going to probably end this podcast here in a minute or two, but I'm willing to take some more questions from any of you that are still on here. But forget me. It's not about me. It's about you. You can see it right there at the bottom, the new health conversation. Above, oh, there it is right there above my head. I forgot it's up there. That's the free medical website. It's free. You can see it. Yeah, I guess it's on this one too, and this one, yeah. And then we put it in the chat for you. Would you like to hit the reset button for the rest of your life? See, this program is called R2M. That's what the researchers call it, race to maintenance. Now, you would think it's like, okay, we started, we got to our goal. When you get to your goal, you're just starting. It's the end of the beginning. Because the whole key to this is to teach you how to maintain whatever you've been able to accomplish. I lost 40 pounds 21 years ago. I've kept it off for 21 years. The people in these studies, which were started 6 years ago or longer, they've been able to maintain whatever weight they've lost now for up to 6 years. I know one guy lost 150 pounds. He's been able to keep that off for 6 years. Don't let your skepticism, I mean, how many more diets do you want to go on to lose weight, to just gain it all back and think it was you, and then you just look for a new diet? All the diets out there that I'm aware of, this is not a diet. This doesn't even work like a diet. But aren't they based on some form of lowering? They tell you lower calories, but the human body doesn't know what a calorie is. Why are you counting calories? I don't know why you're counting calories. I guess you think it's what everybody's saying. It's the herd mentality. And like I said, the tragedy of the Titanic was that, a lot of the lifeboats were launched and they weren't even full, and there were people that stood on deck believing it wasn't going to sink. Maybe you can believe that. Maybe you think you're going to find some diet that works in the long run, but you're flying in the face of the reality of the medical proof. It's like the medical proof is we did hit an iceberg, but there's something you could do about it. You have time to make a change if you're willing. Invest in yourself, for crying out loud. If you have a to-do list and you're not at the top, why not? Why not make this a priority? Isn't your health your wealth? They say people spend a lifetime making a fortune, then they spend their fortune trying to get healthy. You can do it right now. It's not about the weight loss. It's not about fitting in your skinny jeans. Although, like I said, most women lose a whole dress size in 7 days with no exercise. Who does that? Right? So again, would anybody like to put anything in the chat before I close this out? If not, I would encourage all of you to go to, you can see it, the New Health Conversation. If you like what you see, sign up for a free personal consultation. Does anybody think that's not fair? Does anybody think there's some trick? Does anybody think you're going to go to our website and we're going to call you? Because we're not. We don't have to do that. We have so many people that want to do this. And we only have, realistically, we only have so many coaches. We don't let anybody do this unless they get coached, and the coaching is free, because how you do it is as important as what you're going to be consuming. And that's what we teach you. We're teaching you exactly what they did in the medical trials, by the way, which is completely different than anything you've ever done. It's not a diet. It doesn't work. My God, 5 days a week, you're having 4 meals. 4. Not 2, not 3, 4. I don't know. It's up to all of you, I guess, to decide what you want to do, Can I, let's see. Oh, if any of you like my work, you can go, my TikTok is the New Health Conversation, go and like it, but share this with friends. So it's 4:30 Eastern time. I'll probably do one last live today, probably around 3:30 or 4 o'clock Eastern time today, in case any of you are interested or you want to invite a friend or tell somebody about it. Again, we're here to help you. That's our main goal. So I'm going to sign off for now. And like I said, I'll probably come back on an hour and a half. And I wish you all the greatest health possible on earth, okay? Bye, everyone.